Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Eye on the Eagles. I'm Sports Information Director Tim Hackett. We're joined first today on our first episode after Thanksgiving by head men's basketball coach Tyler Bradyhoft. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Thank you for taking some time out of your day. I know it's a game day, and you guys are always busy. This is a busy week as well, probably your busiest game week of the season. But before we get into that, it has been a hectic start to the year as well for you, but so many games against so many really good teams, and that's kind of hard, I think, for anybody to really contextualize on the outside. But since you guys have lived this schedule so far, how would you sum up your first 7 or 8 games that have actually happened?
Yeah, it's been, it's been a tough schedule. You know, we're sitting here in the office and in practice talking to our guys like, hey, we need to improve in these certain areas, and we need to do this better and that better, and then. We're going back and watching game film. We're like, man, we played a top 25 team in Columbia now. I think they're ranked now. We played Division I UMKC, on the road at Manhattan Christian, on the road at St. Mary. And then we get to come home. First home game, we played number 12 team in the country in Southwestern. Then we play a Division II team on the road. We play at Truman State on that Sunday. Yeah. We played Washburn on Saturday, another Division II team. We play Rockhurst, another Division II team today. So, our schedule is brutal and doesn't leave a lot of room for error. Sometimes you're playing equal opponents early in the season, and they're trying to figure out what they're, who they are, and we're trying to figure out who we are, and that just hasn't been the case. We played a very experienced Columbia team, a very experienced Southwestern team. Even St. Mary had a lot of returners coming back. So we've been behind the 8 ball with who we're playing, and I'm try to get our staff and our players to kind of understand that too. Like, we have played some really good competition early, and let's hope this really early. This good competition early sets us up here to kind of make a final push here before Christmas in conference play to hopefully put some wins in the win column. Even after all those games, we're sitting 1-3. Right. With them being exhibitions against Division IIs and Division I. So we're sitting at 1-3 with an opportunity to hopefully get this thing kind of around 500 going into Christmas. But we have got to continue to get better and better. I've told our guys, 100 times by now, it's don't let the results get in the way of our process and our progress of where we want to be, because sometimes you can get emotional after losses with certain results, and sometimes you can get emotional with wins and be in a certain complacent piece. So I tell them, let's less focus on the results and more focus on the process.
How can you distill that down into a concrete message for these guys? Because we've all been on a team, whether as a player, coach, fan, whatever, where the team hasn't won. And as we understand, these are, like you just said, these are exhibition games against NCAA big schools. So we knew going in that they were going to be a challenge. Not just a challenge for you, it's a challenge for any team. Ottawa just played Washburn a couple of days before you guys did and also lost. So it was always going to be a challenge to get that positive result in terms of the W next to your name. But even if that doesn't happen, how can you then materialize that, manifest that into some sort of positive takeaways for the guys to then take into a game this week that actually does matter towards your record?
Yeah, you're trying to find something each game or each half or every media timeout to hang your hat on. And trying to do that, we're trying to find what our identity is. Are we a three-point shooting team? Do we rebound? Are we value the basketball? Do we cut possessions down? Whatever it might be, that's what we're looking for in these games. We're trying to find that silver lining. When we look back and reflect, either whether it's halftime or at the end of the game with our guys, all right, what do we do what we control? Do we limit our turnovers? Do we rebound the basketball? Do we execute our sets? Why did we lose? Why did we lose this game? We didn't rebound very well this game, or hey, too many turnovers, wasting possession. So we're just trying to read between the lines with these games and just continue to build our identity of who we're going to be as we move forward. And sometimes that's tough with guys because they put a lot of work in practice. Sure. And when we get game time, we want to see those results, and we want to, okay, we're improving, or hey, we're getting wins now. I'm just keep harping on our guys. Don't worry so much about the results right now. Our process, our practice habits have got to be there for us to expect to get the result that we want at the end of the day. So, with all these games, we're finding those silver linings. We're finding the positives in it. We're also taking the negatives and putting those into practice and trying to get better at it so we're better that next game. So reading between the lines in these games right now and trying to find positives that we can out of them.
We knew that this was going to be kind of the game plan coming into this season because you're new to the team. We've got a lot of guys that are new to the team, not too many guys that are familiar with the team or familiar with you and your staff. So we knew that there would be a lot of different guys that see action at times during the year, and that's been the case so far. Have there been any individuals or moments that have stood out to you to give you some of those silver linings to this point in the year?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of new guys, and even the returners, like you said, it's new to them.
Right.
So that is a tough situation for players to be put in at different times too. You're coming in with these certain expectations, and you get there and you're having to learn a new system, and maybe you're in a new town, you're at a new school, with a new coach that maybe didn't recruit you. So there's a lot of factors to it, and everybody's trying to prove themselves early. So it's definitely tough as a player to try to adjust to that. And some guys are struggling a little bit more than others. But as we continue to go, hopefully guys continue to step up. Matt Bolt, freshman for us, has played really well for us at times. He's had a couple freshman games, but that's to be expected. But he's done a very good job of picking up on stuff and continue to get better. He hasn't really taken steps back. Sometimes guys will take quick 5 steps forward, and then there'll be a week where they maybe take 3 steps back, and then maybe they'll jump quickly again. Matt's been very, very steady for us, and he's continuing to get better and better, and hopefully that is a trend that continues for him.
Yep.
We've some of our forwards, Desmond Combs, he hasn't quite played to where he wants to be right now, but over the last couple games he has been just very aggressive on the boards for us. His motor has been very, very good for us. He's just looking to turn some of that motor into results right now. So those 2 guys have done well, and there's a handful of other guys that have gotten better. I know nobody on our team is where they want to be right now, but whether they can see it or not, we are improving and they are improving as individuals. So there's some bright spots out there. We just got to get guys to believe in it too, because it has been a rough patch with the teams that we've played. So I'm trying to keep them positive that it's never as bad as it seems, it's never as good as it seems.
Sure.
It's somewhere in between.
Well, we know that hopefully that rough patch will smooth out a little bit as we get back into KCAC play. It was a weird first pair of games that we saw, as we talked about the last time you were here with us on the show, St. Mary going into Southwestern. But I imagine that the 2 games coming up this week will be at least a little bit more level on that rough patch. At this point, I don't know what to expect from York this year. They're always one of those teams that does better than I anticipate, and they always do very solid in the conference. Tabor's been kind of a below-average team the last couple of years, but appear to be on the rise a little bit. What can you tell us about either of those conference games coming up this week?
Yeah, we haven't dug too far into York for Saturday yet. I have watched a few of their games. They will play extremely hard.
Yeah.
And when you play hard, you give yourself a chance every single game to win it. So that's something we're going to have to match their intensity on Saturday. As far as the Tabor game, we're going on the road, and road games are always difficult. They have some really good pieces. They have some talented players. And watching their film, I think it's a little bit kind of like us. They're trying to kind of piece it together. They haven't quite got there yet. They've had some close games that they've lost. They've had a couple pretty good wins. They handled Missouri Valley early in the year, but if their players are on, they can be really good. So we're going to do a good job of trying to slow down a few of their key players. If we can do that, I think we can have a chance there. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what we're doing offensively and defensively. As long as our guys are executing what we're asking on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, then we'll give ourselves a chance to.
By the time we get through the York game on Saturday, you guys will have played 4 games in 7 days coming off of that holiday break. What is the approach for you guys as a coaching staff and as a team attacking a series where you have a series of time, I should say, where you have so many games in a row? Last Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and this coming Saturday. There's no downtime. You got to continue to turn around and prep for the next team, I imagine. What is that approach like as a unit?
Yep. So we've been playing quite a few guys in games, anyways. But Saturday, the Washburn game, we wanted to get a good mix of different lineups in there and give guys different opportunities. I have to go back and look at it. I think there was 12 guys that played 10 minutes or more,
That sounds about right.
or right in that range. And then, tonight against Rockhurst will be probably similar. We'll see a lot of different lineups. Just trying to find different lineups that guys can mesh well, and we have a good balance of scoring and passing and rebounding. So we'll get a little bit of that. So we're trying to kind of keep guys fresh too, going into Wednesday. We did give them a couple days off last week, with Thanksgiving, and then off the Monday after the Truman State game. So I think they're relatively well rested. We're just going to kind of make sure that happens again going into Wednesday, because we need to have a good practice tomorrow. So tonight we'll see a lot of different lineups, a lot of opportunities for guys to prove themselves, and to guys to get good reps as we prepare and get ready for conference play again coming up Wednesday.
In terms of a game plan, I know it's a long ways out, as we said, but Saturday there's going to be a lot going on. It'll be just your second home game, just our second home basketball doubleheader of this season so far. We've got a bunch of things planned. We know that it's an important time of year, so I guess I'll answer my own question later, but what can you tell us first about what's coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, so we'll have it'll be alumni game recognition. So hopefully any former players or just even any Avila grads that are in the Kansas City area, I'd love to have them out, just kind of see a game and reconnect, and hopefully we can put together a pretty good game for that and atmosphere. But it'll be great to see, especially on the basketball side. We've reached out to a few people, letting them know that the alumni game is coming up this weekend, but be good to see any former Avila basketball players, alum that played from however far back we can get. I know the alumni game that we held in the preseason, we had a good range
no doubt.
of people. So
No doubt.
Hopefully we can get that Saturday too. Nobody has to play this Saturday, so that'll be a little bit easier for some. But that'll be exciting. It's a afternoon game too in December, and there should be hopefully a good buzz in the gym, and it'll be two good teams going at it. So that'll be our last home game before Christmas.
Right.
So we're it's coming up quick. So a good chance to come out and see us play here before the Christmas break.
And developing story will also be Ugly Christmas Sweater nights, or Ugly Christmas Sweater afternoon, I guess. So we're hearing from, and you'll hear a little bit more about this later on in the show today, but the best or the worst, I guess, ugly sweater will win a cash prize at halftime of the men's game on Saturday. Developing story this morning. So Alumni Day and Ugly Christmas Sweater Day at our basketball doubleheader this Saturday. Full week for Avila men's basketball and for women's basketball, for that matter. 3 games this week for both teams. Women are at Emporia State Monday night. The men are at Rockhurst Monday night, 7 p.m. Both teams are at Tabor on Wednesday, and then both teams at Mabee Fieldhouse for the second time this year together. Women at 1, men at 3. So the men's basketball at Rockhurst Monday, at Tabor Wednesday, home against York on Saturday. Hope to see you there. Coach Brady Hoft, thanks for joining us, especially on a game day. Appreciate you. We appreciate you being here with us. Thank you.
Always.
That is head men's basketball coach Tyler Brady Hoft. This is Eye on the Eagles. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Eye on the Eagles, your all-access pass to all things Avila Athletics. We're live from Tanner's at Red Ridge, just 5 minutes away from the Avila campus. And now here is the guy that makes all the things happen when it comes to Avila Athletics, the Director of Athletics, Sean Sumi. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
I almost said welcome to the show, Coach, because I'm used to saying that. So it doesn't fit the bill for you anymore,
No,
I guess.
No, sir.
Fortunately for you, right?
Yes, sir.
A lot going on always in our world. We're officially full swing winter sports. What can you tell us about what's been going on so far around Avila the last couple of weeks? Now that we're fully on basketball, bowling, and wrestling from here on in.
Yeah, wrestling full go since the end of October. Bowling's been going since the middle of October. Then basketball's getting going here beginning of November, and it's been busy. Dance team is working towards their nationals competition and working with their choreographers to get them down straight so they can three-peat. I guess we could say six-peat maybe. But it's always busy. It's been kind of hit or miss. We've had weeks where we've had nothing, and then we've had weeks where we have been packed. So this week's kind of a tame week, I think, for us. Like for you, for home games, home events. Big wrestling meets on Thursday night against Ottawa, which, they're the cream of the crop in the KCAC. So we get a chance to see where we're at, and hopefully our lineup's back to full strength, but we're going to probably not be fully there. But we'll compete, and it's always fun to come out and watch those guys because they're a good group of guys. They're fun to be around, and the ladies have been working hard as well, and they've had some tough competition. They have not shied away from wrestling the best. Going up to wrestle in the Grandview tournament, the men wrestling Grandview, over in Fayette, and so they've wrestled really good programs. Men open the year against Embry-Riddle out of Arizona, who's a very good program. So it's fun, just kind of seeing where we're at on Thursday in the KCAC, and we'll see where we're at. And then, we haven't had a ton of home basketball games, but really looking forward to Saturday welcoming York into Mabee Fieldhouse for ugly Christmas sweater game and, alumni game. And then that night we'll celebrate as a staff here back at Tanner's with our Christmas party and just kind of a chance to get together as a full staff and just enjoy fellowship together.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about was that it's kind of a trend I feel that we've seen and we've heard from just about all of our coaches on this show so far this year, the coaches that have the ability to make their own schedule, right? The opportunity to play against tough teams. And just about everybody that we've had on the show has spoken to that. You heard from softball coach Charlie Kennedy last week. You talked men's wrestling. Coach Mateo has said that multiple times. The list goes on. We just talked with Coach Brady Hoft about their challenging schedule, men's basketball. Is that, I don't want to say is that a top-down thing? Is that something that you've kind of instilled? But do you kind of follow, as a coach, do you kind of follow that same mindset where it's important to schedule up, if you will, and purposefully put tough teams on the schedule rather than games that you go and expect to win?
Yeah, and I think my goal as a coach, and I've talked to the coaches about quite a bit too over my 5 years here, is the goal is to be a better team at the end of the year than you are in the beginning. So when you test yourself against really good competition, that's going to see where you're at and where you need to be. And I think men's basketball and women's basketball especially have played tough competition. The men's team with Division II competition, they have 2 Division I schools on their on their schedule this year. Women's basketball has not shied away from playing quality competition. There's games you could go out there and schedule just to get W's. Is that going to make you a better team? I would say no. But I think women's wrestling, men's wrestling have done the same. Coach Wolf with bowling, their competition is a little different, right? It's not head-to-head per se. It is sometimes during the weekend, but they're going up against schools like Wichita State, Nebraska, who typically are pretty good bowling programs that are Division I schools. So they don't shy away from that, and I think that's the goal, is to be better at the end of the year. And the men's basketball is still trying, and women's basketball too. It's different lineups, different rosters than what we had last year. So you're trying to see where you're at and kind of working towards that. So I think it's a good thing. Now it doesn't always look great on the schedules, but I would or on the wins and losses. But I would say last year at the end, bowling was tested all year, and that led them to their best weekend was the conference tournament. I think softball played a really tough schedule early and had they were a better team in May at the conference tournament than they were at the beginning. So that helped us for that conference championship, I feel, last year as well.
I'll ask you this kind of to go a step further because you've lived it. It is the idea. I'm no coach, so I want to get your insight on this. Is it true? Can you somehow manifest the idea that if we're playing good teams now at the start of the year, that gets us ready to play the best teams in our conference when we get to late stages of the conference tournament or into the NAIA tournament, where in theory the only teams that are there are good teams? You will be seeing better teams then, or as good teams, comparable teams then, that you are now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, and I always felt when I coached too, like sometimes the best opportunities to learn were through mistakes made early in the year. So our preseason schedule in baseball was a little different, right? We would play teams. We would play a lot of the Division II schools down in Florida. And then, sometimes you'd have success, sometimes you wouldn't. But you would learn going up against that competition. You would learn that what you needed to work on, what to move forward in conference play. So I think it's a positive, and you can learn from those losses. You can learn from those victories. Whatever it is, it's always better to learn from the victories.
Sure.
But you get that opportunity to learn and see where you're at. So doing that early allows you to make some changes and tweaks that you might need to for conference play.
I guess then on the flip side, as a non-coach, somebody who's a quote-unquote media member or a fan who's then looking at that, not as a judging perspective, but you're looking at a roster or a record and thinking, all right, well, there's more losses than wins. You don't necessarily have the presence of mind to be able to look into that and say, well, they have X number of losses because all of these games have been against quality teams. So my point of that is that we've all been there when I just talked with Tyler about the same thing, where as a player, coach, fan, whatever, where you're a part of a team that has not won games, is there any value to having some games at this time of the year that you imagine are wins, expect will be wins, so you can get that experience out of the way well?
I love that question, and I'm going to say it this way. One, like you hear it a lot. I mean, people will talk about what's wrong? Why aren't they winning in that? And I'll tell you, it's not easy. First of all, winning's not easy.
No doubt.
And I always try to say, people don't know what's going on in your program, minus the people that are a part of your program, right? So, people might think that, but winning's hard. And when you get the opportunities to do it, you can't take anything for granted. You can never go into a game saying this is going to be easy. We're going to get this, because we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids who might be having a bad day, and that snowballs into an even worse day, and that or whatever could happen, whether it's for us or against us. So, I think if we take care of our business, we'll be a better program at the end, in the beginning. And it's hard to just turn a program around right away. And I think that it's going to take time for a lot of our programs. And it takes a couple of years. It's not something that's easy. You look at our programs that have been successful. It's not
doesn't happen immediately.
It does not. So we kind of work towards building those programs where they are. And again, you hear it, and kind of what you said, that people from outside, they don't know exactly what's going on. All of us are built differently, whether it's Division I level where you have schools that maybe have better NIL money, right, and can go get better players and do that kind of thing, and it's not the same across the board. It's not the same across the board at the NAIA level as well. So we just work towards being better every year that we can, and that's the process. So, outside noise, when people think that, I think it's a little short-sighted for people to think that they have that opportunity to,
Not everything's created equal.
Yeah, sanctimonious.
So it can be a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes the way of looking at these things is a little obsolete as well, because
Exactly.
you're looking at a team that has so many more losses than wins, whatever the case
Yep.
might be. Then it's not the same, because and we realize at this point that talking about basketball season specifically, Game 3 of conference is coming up on
Right.
Wednesday, so it's a whole brand new season, as we keep
Yep.
saying.
And I'd say, when you look at it, like, I don't know if we match up well with certain teams or we don't, but when you're trying to figure out how the pieces work together, sometimes you can have some of those scheduled competitions at the wrong time of the year.
Sure,
So
no doubt. Well, coming up this week, we've got a couple of big home events that I wanted to make sure that we got to hit on a little bit more specifically. You hit on it a little bit when we began our conversation here, but wrestling against Ottawa on Thursday, like you said, the cream of the crop in men's wrestling in the KCAC, pretty good in women's as well. Not the preseason favorites, because there's all those other teams that are not full-time members of the KCAC that are very good at women's wrestling, like Jamestown and Midland and Hastings. But they're still very good, and they've got a couple of elite athletes there as well. And we have seen them come to maybe over the years and pack the house, have some fun. They know that they are a good program.
Yep.
We've got a program on the rise as well on both sides. What do you expect on Thursday?
I expect to see a good. I'm hoping that there's a lot of energy in that gym. Wrestling One is a sport that creates a lot of it for the fans to watch. It gets loud, it gets obnoxious. I love it. But I could be wrong, but I don't think we've seen the women at home yet this year.
No.
And kind of looking forward to seeing the returners.
Sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, our women we had against William Woods to
We
start.
did have against William Woods. That's right.
Quick
There
match.
was a quick match. That's right. There was a lot of forfeits there. But kind of really looking forward to seeing our returners compete, because a lot of them did not get that chance because of open weights there. But I think there's a lot of growth that's happened in the 2.5 years. So really kind of looking forward to what they're going to do. There's just great. These kids have great charisma. They're fun to be around. So you kind of watch them compete. It's fun. So really looking forward to seeing the women compete, especially. Watching the men, I get excited watching them. I love watching those guys, especially those guys that have been here for the 3 years. Compete and to be able to do and watch the growth that they've done for our wrestling program. Our schedule this year is harder than it's been in the past, and so maybe you don't see the results all the time, but you see them competing at that level. Where are they going to be at the end of the year is where that's going to be.
I think that's super important in that sport as well. This is why we've talked with those two coaches about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You get and obviously team rankings don't necessarily mean as much in that sport compared to a sport such as basketball, but you get the opportunity to go out there and compete against great athletes weekend in, weekend out, to try to get yourself ready for the conference tournament. Like we said, when in theory everybody that's there are some of the best at this level in this conference. Saturday, like we said earlier, it's our second basketball home doubleheader of the year, women's and men's at home together for just the second time. A lot going on this weekend because of that as well.
Yep. No, and I'm looking forward to every time, the women have played a very competitive schedule, and it's been fun to watch them every time come out and compete. The men as well, they're growing, and just watching them take those steps when they have some success, it's fun to watch that, and looking forward to it. I mean, York, every time they come in, there just seems like there's always something crazy that happens in those games, men's and women's. So we'll look forward to welcoming them into maybe on Saturday. So
off the field, off the floor, there's always a lot of stuff coming up as well, off the extracurricular activities, if you will.
Yeah.
Can you preview some of those for us?
Man, we are jacked up for our 5th annual trivia night, March 22nd. It seems like it's far away, but this semester's kind of flown by, so it'll be here less than 4 months, or about 4 months. But the trivia night's always a fun night to come out, enjoy fellowship, friends, families get together with their tables, and it'll be a good evening to raise some money for the athletic department. And every year it's grown, and this year we're really looking forward to taking another big step. I mean, every year we hear people say, next year I'm going to bring my own table. I'm going to come out, and it's going to be fun, and we do. They do, and they come out, and it's just, random trivia that people think would be easy, but it's a little harder. And between you and Brian that night, you guys take great care of running that program, and it's just always been smooth and something that I look forward to every year. So looking forward to March 22nd this year for that. We're going to have our, since I've been here, our first annual golf, can't say annual, I guess, right? But our first, which will become an annual.
There we go.
Athletics golf tournament, and that will be June 14th, I believe it is. It's a Friday, and it'll be at St. Andrews Golf Club. 1:30 shotgun start, and it'll be a fun time to get together and again, just go out and swing the clubs a little bit and raise some money for athletics. And then we're going to tie that around. We're going to try to tie that around the Hall of Fame, which we moved from the fall to the summer, and that will be July 5th or June 15th. Same weekend, try to do that together, and we'll hopefully here in the next month have some announcements on who's going into the Hall of Fame this year, and just kind of looking forward to, getting away from the athletic events and then doing these events as a fun way to bring alumni together. Men's basketball is playing at Lindenwood on December 12th, and we are doing a alumni happy hour at 5 o'clock in St. Charles, Missouri at Llewellyn's Pub, and for our St. Louis alums to come out and just kind of get together a little bit before the game and then go over to Lindenwood and watch our Eagles compete there against a Division I school. It'll be an exhibition for us, and kind of looking forward to that and getting together with our St. Louis alums. There was a lot of, in the earlier years of athletics at Avila, there were a lot of St. Louis alums, or St. Louis area kids that came over to Avila, graduated, played their sports, and going back. So we're really trying to do a good job of making sure we do an event there every year that we get together. Last year we tied it around soccer alumni and had a great turnout. So hoping to see our St. Louis alums out there on December 12th. It's a Tuesday, so 5 o'clock to 6:30 at Llewellyn's Pub before the game. And we have tickets for our St. Louis area alums that come to the happy hour. We have tickets to the basketball game if they want to come as well and cheer on the Eagles.
A lot going on. December 12th, basketball social before the men's basketball game at Lindenwood. Trivia night in March. Golf event in June. And this week, we've got women's and men's wrestling at home on Thursday, 7 and 8 p.m. versus Ottawa. Women's and men's basketball at home on Saturday, 1 and 3 p.m. against York. A lot going on here at Avila, as always. And the man that makes it all happen, thanks for being here.
You're the man that makes it happen, Tim.
I don't think so.
No, you are.
I just go where I'm pointing.
Make sure.
As a director of athletics, Sean Sumi, thank you to you for joining the show.
Thanks,
Much
Tim.
appreciated.
Appreciate you.
Thank you to executive producer Darian Miner. Thank you to Tanners at Redbridge for hosting us as always. And thank you for watching this episode of Eye on the Eagles. We will see you next time, same channel, 11:30 a.m. or thereabouts, every Monday on AvilaAthletics.com. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long.
Go Eagles.